Cracks within the tripartite alliance have revealed themselves in recent years. So among the party's tasks in 2023 is strengthening the ANC-SACP-Cosatu and Sanco relationship. It says all tasks must be carried out with the meaningful involvement of alliance partners. This includes subcommittees of the NEC and joint mass campaigns. Let's speak to the SACP spokesperson now, Mr. Alex Mashilo, on the party or how the party has received the ANC's January 8th statement. Mr. Mashilo, good morning and thank you very much for your time. Now, among the immediate priorities of that statement is the renewal of the party. Cosatu Zingisalusi actually suggesting that getting the party's affairs in order is the start if the party is to win workers' votes. Where do you as the SACP stand on the priorities and the statement as a whole?
The priorities, thank you very much. The priorities are quite important and they have to remain on our national agenda until we achieve the objective they seek to achieve. I mean, the first priority is that of renewal. It does not go alone. It is quite a wide-ranging priority that includes the reconfiguration of the alliance, which in terms of the SACP will be incomplete itself without the renewal and unity and growing support from the motive forces of the National Democratic Revolution and South Africans at large. The renewal and building an organization is not an end in itself, it is a means to an end. Just as democracy is not an end in itself, it is a means to an end. The second most important priority, which is an urgent priority, is that of overcoming the energy crisis and stopping the load shedding, because that actually stands in the way of many other things. Like the third priority, which in our view is economic development and transformation, in terms of which the statement refers to mobilizing investment and employment creation.
Yes, through social compacting in particular.
Not going to
through social compacting in particular, which is something I would love to get a sense from the SACP, that we constantly hear of the need to compact with the private sector, organized labor and civil society. But are we seeing results?
No, we are not seeing the results. There is a problem. In 2019 August, the National Treasury released a document. It called it a blueprint of our economic policy. The document was subtitled Towards South Africa's Economic Strategy. That document arose from the recommendation of the OECD and the International Monetary Fund. At the core of those documents were the recommendations from the two institutions. We engaged in the alliance and we said that an economic policy that will turn around the situation in South Africa must be a homegrown economic policy that takes into account our history, our conditions, our capacity. Yet that policy was pushed, and at the center of what would later be called social compacting were those measures. That policy was pushed, and the measures contained in that policy became the core of what will later be called economic reconstruction and recovery. Remember that this comes from 2019. In 2020, we experienced this COVID-19 pandemic. We needed a new policy response that takes into account the post-pandemic conditions and the necessity to turn around the economy. However, what happened is that the measures that came from the 2019 document were asserted quite strongly as the measures that will turn around the economy. And these measures were put at the center of what was to be called a social compact. The SACP did not agree, because what happened is that there were no engagements in the alliance. We had agreed, having produced a document we called the COVID-19 pandemic response within the alliance, that we needed an alliance-led process to emerge with an economic reconstruction and development strategy that will be unifying. However, what happened is that the ANC, given its internal challenges, went to work on the document in its economic transformation committee, and from there the document went to the government and to NEDLAC. Later, business, which has been calling for the same measures that the ANC in government relied upon for a social impact, big business withdrew. And as we stand now, there is no social compact. This must be a lesson, never to leave your allies behind and rely on people who include the strategic adversaries of the program of transformation that you wish to achieve. So we must go back to the alliance to agree. In the statement, the president and the NEC refer to the agency of convening the Alliance Economic and Energy Summit. That is so crucial. That will be an important correction, because you cannot proceed without your allies and believe that you will have a social compact with other forces who, by the way, include the forces that supported apartheid and stand opposed to the key objectives of the National Democratic Revolution.
Which I guess takes you back to the need to reconfigure the alliance. But on social support, just in closing, the ANC is firm in its position that government should continue to improve social protection, and that for now that 350 should remain. Your views, given that some in society could easily come out and say at this point the fiscus cannot afford it?
We have been calling as the SACP on the government to not terminate the 350 rand social relief of distress grant. Due to the pressure from the SACP, civil society organization, NGOs, and mass-based organizations like Cosatu, and of course the progressive content of the ANC itself, the National Treasury has been extending the social relief of distress grant year after year, in October during the medium-term expenditure framework and in February during the main budget. As things stand right now, it has been extended to be terminated at the end of March 2024. The statement comes on board, and we welcome that, because in articulating the statement, the president said the social relief of distress grant must stand until we have a basic income grant. From the standpoint of the SACP, that cannot only be a basic income grant, but must be a universal basic income grant. We hope that the engagements at the Alliance Economic and Energy Summit will persuade the ANC to accept the importance of a universal basic income grant, so that we don't only talk about a basic income grant. That is so crucial, because as things stand, we have been having an unemployment rate of above 20% since 1996, after the government adopted the neoliberal policy called GEAR. It is quite clear that efforts to create employment at scale, to bring down unemployment to a level where we have in practice the right of all to work, is going to take time. So this decision announced by the president yesterday, we welcome it. It is important, and of course it requires an improvement to move from a basic income grant to a universal basic income grant, while maintaining the social relief of distress grant as a foundation to move towards that end.
Mr. Mashilo, thank you very much for your time this morning. That was SACP spokesperson Alex Mashilo. More news